Welcome along, fellow time travelers and strange historians. This time around, we're going to talk about the strange history of the breaking wheel. Before I begin, I want to thank the great Brandy for putting together this great research for me and for you. There may or may not be images associated with the show, depending on the platform you're using. If you do want to check out some images associated with the subject matter, please check out my Patreon channel because I do post lots of cool images there. So sit back and pour yourself a cup of coffee or a tankard of tea or a mug of mead or a chalice of cider or a flagon filled with any beverage of your choice and join me around the campfire. Alrighty, let's talk about the breaking wheel, not to be confused with the song by Flesh. Not sure what the hell Flesh is. That's a group, I guess. Okay, so there's a group named Flesh. They've got a song called The Breaking Wheel. If you've ever heard of it, please, I don't know, mention that in the comments below. But anyway, the breaking wheel is a medieval torture device used for public executions. God, that sounds awful. It's also called, oh good, it's got many names here, the execution wheel, the Wheel of Catherine, also known as the Catherine Wheel. Ah, the Catherine Wheel. If you've ever been to Henley-on-Thames, there's a great inn there called the Catherine Wheel, isn't there? Or simply the wheel. Yeah, the wheel. I guess if you work with it, right? You see it all the time. You're like, hey, how's the wheel? Do we need to clean the wheel? Wash the blood off the wheel. Hey, somebody left a finger on the wheel. So, yeah, I guess at that point, if you say it so often, after a while, it's just too much trouble to say, hey, the Wheel of Catherine, the Catherine Wheel, the Execution Wheel, the Breaking Wheel. Nah, you just call it the wheel. It is a large, well, it is. That's kind of present day, present tense. Seems like I should say was. It was a large wooden spoked wheel, like a wagon wheel that was used on carts and carriages, sometimes modified with a rectangular iron thrust attached an extended blade-like from part of the rim. The wheel was used to break the bones of a criminal or bludgeon them to death, though used mostly to execute those who committed especially heinous crimes. Torture by the wheel was also used in interrogations. Alrighty, so how did this thing work? Let us find out together, shall we? There are two common ways to use the wheel. In the first, the criminal will be taken to a public stage and tied to the floor. The executioner would then use the wheel to break the bones of the convicted by delivering multiple hits to the limbs just above each joint, the elbows and the knees. Ouch. In the second, the arms and legs were spread out. Oh God, I'm not liking where this is going. And tied to the spokes of the wheel. And an iron rod or cudgel was used to break the bones. In both instances, the executioner would generally start at the legs and work up to the arms so as to prolong the torture, and would sometimes last for hours. Wow. Well, that's what happens when you pay executioners by the hour. They take their time, and if you just gave them like a flat rate and said, look, here's your $50, just kill the guy, or just torture the guy, you take your $50, you get the hell out of there, or you try to do, because you want to do as many as you can in a day, right, for your $50. But if it's like, listen, pay $10 an hour, well, now it's 5 hours of torture. So that's how that works. So this is not advice, by the way, on how to hire a torturer, but yeah, I guess it depends, right? I mean, I don't know. If you want them to be tortured for hours, then I guess pay by the hour. Anyway, the rhythm and amount of hits were often given during sentencing. The more serious the crime, the more hits were ordered. Although not commonplace, the executioner could be instructed to execute the convicted by aiming for the neck or heart in a coup de grace, blows of mercy, for those who don't know. Once all the hits were delivered and the bones broken, the body would then be threaded through the spokes of another wheel, and the wheel then hammered onto a mast or pole, crucifixion style. Oh, God. The broken man, if still alive and God knows who the heck would want to be, but yeah, the broken man, if still alive, could last hours or even days, during which birds and other scavengers could peck at it. According to medieval superstition, this would ensure the soul of the body could not reach heaven. Shock and dehydration would eventually cause death. Less common ways to use the wheel were to wrap the victim around the wheel and tie the limbs in place, then roll the wheel around or even off a cliff and leave him until he died. Wow. Who comes up with this kind of crazy stuff? Whew. In some instances, the wheel would be set on fire, God, it gets worse, or rolled above a fire with the body wrapped around it. Good freaking grief. Alrighty, so let's talk about the when and the where, as if you're still listening. There's no way you're still listening, right? There's no way, but alrighty, here's the when and the where. The breaking wheel was used primarily in Europe, from antiquity through the Middle Ages into the early modern period. The practice was abolished in Bavaria in 1813 and in the electorate of Hesse, probably said that right, probably said that wrong, in 1836. The last known execution by the wheel was that of Rudolf Knöpfel on the 13th of August of 1841 in Prussia. He was executed for the assassination of Bishop of Warmia. Well, let's be honest, if you're the Bishop of Warmia, how much of a future could you have really had anyway? Warmia? Could be worse, could be Wormia, but Warmia. Warmia. W-A-R-M-I-A. Just think, somebody after that became the Bishop of Warmia. I wonder if there's still a Bishop of Warmia today. Where the hell is Warmia? Alrighty, so let's talk a little bit about the who, shall we? The exact origin of the breaking wheel is unknown, but it is believed by many to have been invented in the Holy Roman Empire, what is now Germany, during the Middle Ages. The Roman Emperor of Commodus, who died in 192 AD, secured people on a bench, then rolled a wheel with iron spikes over the body of the victim. An executioner would also pound the wheel into the body of the victim, rolling it up and causing a gruesome amount of pain by doing so. I'd say so, yeah. Alrighty, so the Wheel of Catherine. In 305 AD, Saint Catherine of Alexandria was sentenced to execution by the wheel for refusing to renounce her Christian belief. According to legend, the wheel broke when she touched it, and the broken pieces flew out, injuring bystanders. This was believed to be divine intervention, and so they beheaded her instead. You figure, hey, there's divine intervention here. You think, leave Catherine alone. But alrighty, they wanted her dead. It is said that she was so holy that milk flowed out of her instead of blood. Well, I can think of one reason why that may have happened. The wheel was then named after her, and so she is often depicted holding a wheel and a sword. And so this concludes this episode of The Strange History of The Breaking Wheel. What do you think of the breaking wheel? Do you think that you have it in you to torture somebody on the breaking wheel? What about you being tortured on the breaking wheel? Do you think you could handle it? How do you think you would react if you were tied down and an executioner held a wheel above you and started breaking your bones? That would suck, right? So, yeah, sounds awful, sounds unpleasant. What do you think about medieval torture devices? Should we do more shows like this? If so, let me know in the comments below. In fact, if you enjoyed this video, kindly like it, kindly share and subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And please become a member of my channel. That way you get to listen to more fun videos like this about strange history. If you want to support my research on strange history and you want to hear more shows like this, please click on the link below so you can see how you can make a donation directly to me, and also join me on other platforms like Patreon, where I post exclusive content. Kindly be kind to all non-human animals. Please don't torture them. Please don't eat them. please don't do anything like that. They don't like it. Nobody would want that. You wouldn't want that. And please do yourself a favor and go to a local shelter and adopt a cat or a dog. You'll be very glad that you did. Until next time, I wish you safe travels on all your journeys.